Hi, Lauren.
Hi, Marianne. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, good,
I'm going
good.
to make you host, okay? And then I'm going to
Okay,
sign out, all right?
sounds good.
Have a good meeting. We'll see you soon.
Okay, take care.
Oh, no.
Oh, okay.
Did I do it?
Did you make me host? Let's see.
Let me see. Did I? Wait,
No,
hold
you're
on.
still host. You're still host.
Okay.
And then if you could make, I don't, Felix, do you need to be made co-host or anything?
I do not.
Okay.
Okay, hold on. Just, I don't know why it keeps jumping to Felix. Okay, there you go, Lauren. You're all set.
Okay, thank you, Marianne.
All right. I'll
Okay.
see you. Bye-bye
Okay,
now.
take care. Okay. So it's not quite yet 5 and we'll wait anyway for more people to show up. So how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Miss Springer?
Good, good. And you can call me Lauren, that's fine.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Hi, Lauren.
Okay.
So, this is Community Board 2, correct?
This is Community Board 2. Yeah, so we
Okay.
cover
Long Island
Sunnyside,
City.
Woodside, yeah, Long Island City.
I saw that, right? And
Yeah.
MassPath as well, right?
Yep. Yes.
Okay, okay. And I know the
Yes.
last time we spoke, you had mentioned either on the phone, you mentioned like a specific question that they may have. Can you circle back to that for me? Because I know I noted it somewhere and I couldn't find
Okay. It's how can we help you? That's really like what can community board do to help you? That is like we have a member, Dr. Roz, that's her signature question.
Oh, that's a
So
great,
well, yeah, what can community board do to help you? Yeah, your
that is,
organization.
that is a great question.
Okay.
I see that you have a couple of things on the agenda. Do you know how much time I'm expected to utilize, or should I stay within a certain amount of time?
You're the main speaker today. I usually meet for no more than an hour.
Okay,
So you can go, you can go 25 minutes, however, and then just, time and we can ask questions. It's fine.
sure.
Half hour, that's fine. Whatever.
Cool. All
And
right.
then yeah, we'll ask questions and then we'll do old business, new business. I think that's it. But you are the main, you are the speaker
Okay.
for this evening.
Cool, cool.
And welcome everybody else. Amparo, Danny, Tony.
Hello, good evening.
Hello, hello. Good evening.
Okay. And little one, yes.
Right.
And welcome, Andrea.
So you know it's me. Okay, good.
Yes, yes, I
I
see your name.
okay, great. Okay. I'm
Okay,
in my car. I
okay,
won't look down.
okay. No, no, please, eyes on the
No.
road. Eyes on the road.
Yeah. No, I will. It's funny because I was trying to leave the office a little bit earlier so that I could get home by 5, but that and I unfortunately need to be at my side on my side of the town by at least 6:30 because I have to be somewhere. And if I left the office at 6 tonight, then I won't get home
Okay,
within the hour. So that's why
okay,
I'm driving. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, the best laid plans. That's what happens. You try to get out of the office and not quite.
No, I was almost ready to walk out. Then someone stopped in and needed my advice around something, and that turned into a 20-minute conversation. So there
Okay,
goes that.
okay,
But I'm here.
okay. Thank you. Glad to see you.
No, good to see you too.
Okay. Hey, Warren.
Hello.
Okay,
So I'm using my wife's iPad, so her name
okay,
comes up. I apologize.
okay. It's all right. It's all right. Do you need help changing it or anything else like that, or How do you feel? Or then it'll say Warren when she uses her iPad again or something, I guess.
Yes, if you want me to try to change it, I can try. I can try to change it. I shouldn't be using it. Is that my other laptop has no charge life in it?
Oh, okay. Now I hear you on that. Use what you can.
I don't want to get screamed on.
Okay, all right.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
All right. All right.
I'm not supposed to touch.
We won't
I
touch
don't-
that. We won't touch that.
I'm not supposed to touch things. I kind of
Okay.
break things. I'm clumsy.
Okay. Okay. Now I hear you on that. Okay. We'll just give it a few more minutes, Felix, and then we can get started.
Oh, that's perfectly fine.
Okay. Hi. Oh, Tony, you're a Boy Scout working on a merit badge? Welcome. Welcome. How does that tie in? They want you to sit in on a community board meeting? How does that work?
I want to know more.
Yeah, I want to know more
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
Hi.
Okay.
I have to be at a board meeting, community board meeting, or just like a meeting in your community, and I have to write about an issue where a difference of opinions was expressed, and I have to take a side.
Okay. All right. Well, welcome. Welcome. Hope you get your merit badge.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead. It's 5:03. It's fine. Okay, so welcome to the May 2024 meeting of the Health Human Services, Health Human Services, what am I gonna, Education Unhoused Shelter Committee. Tonight we have Felix Gonzalez, who is the Director of Community Outreach at the Fortune Society. He is our guest speaker, so welcome, Felix.
Thank you, Lauren. Thank you for having me. Thank you, Community Board 2. It's a pleasure to be here this evening. I was asked last week if I would speak at this community board meeting, and I was actually looking forward to it. So thank you all for having me. Like Lauren mentioned, my name is Felix Gonzalez. I am the Director of Community Outreach at the Fortune Society. I've been there for close to 5 years now. I'm gonna guess that most people are familiar with Fortune. In any event, I will give some history, and I'll give some talking points about Fortune Society, who we are, and what we do. So our main office is located in Long Island City, 2956 Northern Boulevard. I'm guessing Northern Boulevard, that will be part of the catchment for CB2. So Fortune has been around for a little over 50 years, somewhere like 54 years. It's one of the nation's leading reentry service organizations. We serve over 10,000 individuals annually. We're definitely we're a leading advocate in the fight for criminal justice reform and for alternative to incarceration. Our program models are recognized both nationally and internationally for their innovation and for the work that is being done, for the quality and the innovation, and continues to inspire and really help a multitude of lives. Just to give you a little bit of our mission, let me just tell you, our mission is to support successful reentry back into the community. Of course, we promote alternatives to incarceration, and we believe that helping folks successfully transition back into the community, that it actually strengthens the fabric of the community, and it contributes to public safety. So we do this by believing in the ability for people to change, building lives through service programs shaped by the needs and experiences of the folks that we serve, and ultimately by changing the minds of folks through education and service linkages. and exposing them to the resources that they need for a successful transition from incarceration to the community. So we don't only work specifically with folks that are in reentry, we work specifically with folks that are justice impacted. That means that folks that are on parole, folks that are on probation, folks that have had some type of contact with the justice system. If they've been arrested, if they've been put in handcuffs, then they can come to our organization for services, for linkages, for resources. Our vision is to foster a world where those who are incarcerated or formerly incarcerated will thrive as positive, contributing members of the community. So that's basically our goal, our mission. And we've been pretty successful in doing this for over 50 years now. Of course, we can't do it by ourselves. We do it through partnerships, through advocacy, through helping the community and different partners that we work with. So at Fortune Society, we have a number of resources that we offer to folks. I'll go down the short list, and we can get into either any one of them that you may be specifically interested in, but we provide services in housing, employment services, education, family services, alternatives to incarceration, mental health treatment, substance use treatment, health services, benefits access, which is access to entitlements upon release, food and nutrition, creative arts, transitional services, healthcare coordination, peer recovery, digital equity, supervised release, and women's rising. So that's just like a quick overview of the different services that we provide to folks. And again, these are to folks that are specifically justice impacted. To give you more insight into, to give you more insight into the folks that we serve and the folks that we work closely with, let's speak about reentry, folks coming home from prison back into our communities. Individuals with criminal justice involvement form one of the most disadvantaged populations in our nation. They have a myriad of challenges and a harmful stigma that is attached to them. These challenges include everything from healthcare to employment to stabilization, through affordable housing and even family services. There's limited access to education. There's barriers to sustainable employment. There's homelessness after prison. Oftentimes we work closely with folks that have either been in prison for a very long time and they come home and they see that their families are either no longer in New York City. They may have lost a lot of family members to death. People may have moved away. They come home and they really don't have anyone. So that's a very big challenge for a lot of our senior population that are coming home. So one of the things that we try to do is we try to make sure that we connect them to transitional housing that meets their needs, and in many cases, permanent housing that meet their needs. We know that stabilization is something that's very important, right? It's super important when it comes to the success of their transition back into the community. You help somebody with obtaining a place to live or help someone with employment opportunities. They're going to have an opportunity to thrive in the community. Any questions up to this point? I know I've spoken a little bit. I've got some more stuff, but I just wanted to know if Lauren or anyone had any questions at this point.
Does anybody? I have a few.
Go ahead, Lauren.
Why don't you go, Amparo? Do ask. Go ahead.
Thank you so much for the recognition, and thank you, Felix, for coming to present. I'm a little under the weather, so sorry about my voice.
I'll get better.
Thank you. Can you tell me a little bit more about employment placements? I know you said that there are workshops that y'all offer to job seekers, and I'm wondering, what does it look like insofar as finding an actual placement?
That is a really good question, Amparo. Thank you for asking that. So Fortune Society, we have a pretty robust Employment Services Unit. Obviously, folks come home from prison and, you ask somebody, what do they need? It's almost always number one is they need a job. I need some employment. I need to be able to feed my family or take care of myself, whatever the case may be. So, so our Employment Services Unit is equipped, we equip formerly incarcerated folks with the skills necessary to obtain employment, right? So we have what's called it first starts with an orientation, and at that orientation, it's explained to the participant everything that is offered in the 3-week job readiness workshop that we have. And the job readiness workshop is very important because it's 3 weeks where they learn soft skills for job readiness training. And you learn, so much has changed and is continuously changing, right? In the employment field, right? So folks are learn about interviewing skills, how to interview, group interviews, phone interviews. Our participants are instructed and made aware of the different laws that have changed when it comes to employment for formerly incarcerated. So a lot has changed, right? There's been a lot of advocacy for criminal justice reform, and in that advocacy, things like Ban the Box have come about. And for those of you who are not familiar, that's where an employer cannot ask a person on the application if they've ever had a felony conviction. So that box has been banned. It's no longer allowed to be asked. Participants need to know all their rights when it comes to seeking employment and what advocacy is available to them. How to dress for success, how to answer certain questions, how to prepare. It's really and it's 3 weeks, and it's like from 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So it's an all day process. And it really helps to prepare them moving forward on that pathway to employment. So what happens is once you complete the job readiness workshop, and this is really the beauty of the job readiness workshop, is that by that time they have an assessment of where you're at, what kind of skills do you need, and what's kind of available to you. And we work with a lot of different vendors. So we connect people to employment through our vendors. In addition to that, we have vocational programs that we connect you to, and we also pay the cost. So like, if you're interested in culinary arts, if you're interested in your commercial driver's license, if you're interested in an environmental remediation training that's available, transportation training and commercial driver's license, like I mentioned, the CDL. There are a few different vocational opportunities that are available to our folks that complete the job training, and we connect them. We also have a fellowship called the Bloomberg Fellowship, which is kind of reserved for some of our folks that come home that really have the skills in place to go into different type of fields that are not just regular vendors where you may be working as a maintenance person or something like that. This is for folks that may have their bachelor's degree already or may show some type of promise or potential to really excel in a certain area. In addition to that, we also have an internship program where when you complete the job readiness workshop, you could either intern at Fortune Society, and it's a 10-week, 20 hours a week for 10 weeks at $15 an hour, I believe it is. It may have went up. And what that does is, interning is an amazing thing because it gives you the opportunity to build your resume. It gives you an opportunity to learn some job skills. And it also gives you an opportunity to showcase to some of the units at Fortune what you're capable of doing. And one of the things that Fortune likes to do is we like to hire from that pool of people. Because, we get an opportunity to see, okay, they intern for 20 weeks. You understand how that model goes. We also send folks out to intern at other locations as well. So it's really a great opportunity. Sometimes the buy-in is a little challenging because sometimes, somebody tells you, hey, I need employment, but everybody wants a job today. They want it right now. That 3-week job readiness workshop, it takes at least 3 weeks. We do incentivize it. We make sure that we feed the participants, we give them transportation, and we also give them an enrollment and a completion gift card. It's not much, but it's something to try to ease the financial burden.
That's incredible. Thank you very much for explaining that you have relationships with some placements with vendors, and that you do all this training and support around getting access to everything they need insofar as getting a position. I'm wondering if there's some synergy between y'all and potentially LaGuardia Community College, since you're so close together physically, as well as they have a this is the Health and Human Services Committee, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention something about the community health worker training program they have there. So that might be a possibility for those folks who might be health-minded or interested in that.
So first of all, we love LaGuardia Community College. They're our neighbors. I was just at a spring resource fair yesterday at Queensboro Correctional Facility, and they were there. They were present. So you said the community health worker training program. So the only information that I would be able to share with you that I know of is that I know that not too long ago, I would say maybe late last year, like November or December, our deputy CEO, Robert De Leon, went over to LaGuardia Community College and spoke with the Red Hawks, which is the men's basketball team, right? He met with Coach Lockhart, and they spoke. I don't know what materialized out of it, if there was going to be a mentorship program, if there was going to be, but I believe it was going to be some type of like hybrid of the young men from the basketball team doing some work in the community, some like growth development type of thing, right? But we can speak more about the community health worker training program that you mentioned. I think that would be a great linkage with our employment services unit and the folks that manage it. Is it
Yeah, I think they presented, right, Lauren?
Yeah, they presented. I don't know the date. We would have to figure that out, but they did present. They did
It's just
present.
like in the cobwebs of my brain, I was like remembering that.
Yeah, since like sometime last year, we would have to. Yeah.
See if the office could make that connection, actually. I think
Yeah.
that's a really appropriate way to involve the community board office here. So yeah, that would be wonderful. That's one way we could potentially help with that, connection. Thanks.
Absolutely, and I'm really glad that you brought that up. I think that that's probably one of the purposes of this meeting. Like these type of linkages and connections are so important. Because sometimes the resources are right here. They're right in front of us. Yeah, I would definitely bring this up immediately with the employment services management. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. Warren, did you have anybody else have any questions? Andrea, Warren?
No, I don't have anything. But a quick thought. I know we have the small business committee. Maybe that's something to include come September. Maybe even now have those conversations to bring the two together. There's people that maybe those businesses can bring into the fold. But it's just a thought. I'm talking out loud. I mean, it might be a good link.
Thank you for that. Yeah, small
Okay.
business committee. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, another committee of the community board. I had some questions.
Sure.
Jumping off of what Amparo said, I'm interested in hearing more about the housing, like the housing services. But there were two services that you mentioned that I'm like completely unfamiliar with in terms of like what Fortune Society is. You said something about creative arts and visual equity.
Digital equity.
Okay, it's digital equity. Yeah, could you explain
Sure.
digital equity? Yeah.
Sure, Lauren, those are great questions. So
Okay.
I'll start with digital equity. So digital equity is pretty new. I would say like in the last 18 months. Not only Fortune, but other nonprofits and service linkage organizations have found the importance of having a digital equity, let's say, unit. So basically we have things are changing really quickly, right? Phones, tablets, communication, even AI and all different things. So what happens is that we have folks that are coming home after 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, 20, 30, 40 years. So you see that there's a disparity, right? In information sharing. So they come home and sometimes they don't know how to use a telephone, a cell phone. They don't know how to use a tablet. They don't know about emails. Some folks come home and they still using the hard copy resumes. So it's important that you start catching up, right? So the digital literacy is a great pathway to it's like I'm not going to say a crash course because they give you as much time as you need. I believe it's a 6-week training. It's not every day, but it's available to all of our participants. And we also provide, we'll provide a phone or we'll provide a tablet. And in some cases, we'll even provide a laptop where needed. So the digital literacy, we have our EQI, we have our IT facilities participate in this, and we really kind of it's really there as a basic fundamental introduction to communication and what's happening today. It's very important, especially sometimes our elder population or folks that have spent a lot of time in prison. I mean, you could be 40 years old and spend 20 years in prison, and you're like, wow, things have really changed. So that's the digital equity,
Okay.
and it's available to all of our participants. You also mentioned, what was the other one? I know you
There's
spoke
the
about
creative, I said
creative
housing, but
arts.
also you said creative arts or creative?
The creative arts. All right,
Mhm.
so we have a really great creative arts. It's the director is Jamie Molesteca, and she's actually a Queens native, I believe out of Astoria. She's a long member of this community. She heads our creative arts department. So folks that are just as impacted, especially folks that are in reentry, folks that are coming home from prison, right? There's 2 things that they need to be successful. They need to be able to complete their mandates that parole stipulates for them, right? So some of them come home and they have to do anger management, domestic violence, outpatient substance abuse, whatever the case may be. Those are their mandates. And then resources that I spoke about earlier, right? Stabilization, housing, employment, healthcare, mental health, linkages to benefits access, which are your entitlements. Oftentimes folks need to get their Medicaid. We help them with that. But the creative arts, that's like gym time, right? In school, it's the fun part. We can't get away from, well, these are the things that you have to do, and you have to do this, and we have to connect you to that, and you have to go to this appointment, and that could be traumatic in a lot of ways. So we have a music program with a studio. And then we have the creative arts where folks you can be blessed with the talent to draw and paint, or even if you're a novice, you can participate in the creative arts where they do art as you can imagine it, right? From basic to high-end murals and things like that. And also, it's also an exposure to the theater. Of course, there's things like outings to the movie theaters and things like that. But then there's also that exposure to Shakespeare in the Park, the Delacorte Theater, Broadway, off-Broadway, other things to help stimulate and help in the transition back into the community. So yeah, I would love to. I wish I had Jamie on this call because she really does a deep dive into what they do. I'm just touching on it.
Okay.
And then I think lastly, you asked
And,
about
oh,
our
sorry, one thing,
housing.
we have the arts committee. That's another.
Oh, you do? Oh, let me write that down. You guys have an arts committee. I'll write that down as well. Yeah, I would love to link Jamie to your arts committee, however that can be facilitated.
Okay.
And then you asked about our
Housing, and you
housing.
mentioned like trying to help people with transitional and permanent housing.
Correct.
Mhm.
So Fortune Society has transitional housing, right? So I'm gonna read something to you really
Mhm.
quickly. Finding affordable housing is another obstacle that formerly incarcerated people must overcome. And then there's a lot of policies implemented in New York City Housing Authority that really preclude a lot of formerly incarcerated people from living in NYCHA. Some things are changing. There's some reform and there is a NYCHA reentry program that's in place. We work closely with Abraham Tejada and his team to try to facilitate those folks that are stakeholders in those apartments, in those units. Some people come home and that's where they lived all of their lives. So so that's one of the things. However, Fortune itself, we have transitional houses that are available to our participants. And I wrote the address down because we do have a place in Queens. I got it right here. Okay. So we have what's called the Freedom Houses. We have 4 of them located throughout the city. We have one in the Bronx, one in Brooklyn, one in East Harlem, and one in Queens. The one in Queens is located at 3858 12th Street, Queens, New York. I'm not sure if that falls under the CB2 catchment or not. So these Freedom Houses, they're not shelters and they're not permanent housing. They're like right in the middle, right? It's a clean, safe environment that folks that are looking for some type of stabilization can get a place to stay until they find their way. So it's temporary. You can stay there 1 week. You can stay there 2 years. It depends on your need. Of course, when you're staying at a transitional housing, you know, there are rules and there are regulations, just like if you're going to stay at your aunt's house, right? There's a curfew in the evenings. There's a no visiting policy. And this is done for safety reasons, right? We give them 3 meals a day, and we help connect them to resources. There's a case manager that works. There's a team that works at the housing locations to help keep folks connected. If you're working, if you happen to be fully employed and you're staying at the transitional house, 1/3 of your income goes towards rent. If you're not working, then a portion of your rent gets paid by through the city, through HRA. You also have to be doing something, right? You can't just come and plant your flag and say, okay, I got a place to stay, and then you're there all day. You have to either be working, going to school, or you have to be participating in some program, whether it's anger management, outpatient. You have to be doing something, and it doesn't necessarily have to be through Fortune Society. You can be participating in an anger management program somewhere else, but you have to be doing something. You have to be proactive in your transition. You have to be moving progressively in a direction where, you know, you're going to be successful in the community and you're going to be part of the community. There's a waiting list for these beds. And so far, so good. So I know that we do have one in Queens, and then we have other housing opportunities. We have the Castle in Harlem on 140th. That's also a transitional housing where folks come. Normally, the folks that live there are folks that spent a lot of time in prison and come home and don't have a place to go. There's certain beds that are allocated for different contracts, but it's a place where it's a community up there. They have community meetings. They're very tied into the community at the Castle. And then we also have what's called the Mandela House in the Bronx. And the Mandela House, it's senior living. It's studio apartments for folks that are returning citizens that are over the age of 55. I'm sorry, 62 and over. And that housing opportunity recently came about in the last couple of years. And then we also have what's called scatter site housing, where we contract with different folks to provide apartments for folks that are reentering the community. So there's a lot going on with housing. But that's a big need. There's a big need for housing. I hope that was able to answer some of it. I can give you a little bit of a deeper dive into the Mandela House, which is one of my favorite places because it's, first of all, I would love for you guys to visit it because it really meets the needs of the folks that are returning home. The Mandela community, which is our newest service center, is located in the Morrisania section of the Bronx. It's owned and managed by Bronx Pro in partnership with the United Methodist City Society. So we're in partnership. And the apartments are really nice. They're small. They're studio apartments. They come fully furnished. And you know, we're big. We're big when you give somebody a place to stay. When you help somebody with employment, you're gonna find a greater margin of success. And you know, all of this contributes really, Lauren, to to public safety. You know, you give somebody a job, and they're going to most likely not go back to the life that they once knew.
It all makes a difference. It does.
It sure does.
It does. The next or the last question that comes to mind right now is basically in terms of like how do people come to access your services? Like is it more than just parole referral or yeah? So how do you get how do you get your participants?
That's a really good question. So we get our participants many ways. One, we get them through walk-ins, people that already know about Fortune, and they just, you know, they're either in prison or they're in the street, and they know about Fortune, and they know that they can be a candidate. They'll walk right in. So that's one way. And then the other way is word of mouth, right? The other way is through referrals. So we'll get referrals from probation. We'll get referrals from parole. We'll get referrals from the courts. We'll get referrals from different areas, different stakeholders in the community throughout, whether it's Queens, Bronx, Manhattan, Brooklyn. So you know, a lot of our referrals come in those through those pathways: parole, probation, word of mouth, walk-ins. Yeah, I was looking at some numbers, and the numbers say that we annually that we may serve 10,000 plus per year. But I was just at a staff meeting a month ago, and I remember hearing the number like 12, 13,000 last year. So, you know, there's a lot of folks are definitely, their needs are definitely being met with our services. But of course, we can't do that by ourselves. We do that with partnership with the community help. We do that with with places like parole and probation and the courts, and you know, everybody has a hand in it.
Okay, thank you for that. Okay.
So I can't raise my hand. I don't know
Okay,
if you
go
guys
ahead,
can
Andrew.
hear me. So I just had a quick question, a really good information. Wanted to find out whether or not the Fortune Society, I'll be interested in hearing more about your family services and what does that capture in terms of family services, and whether or not there is any linkage between the Fortune Society and the foster board. As a matter of fact, that this morning on my way into the office, there was a conversation about bail reform and talking about how to look at, you know, folks that are impacted who end up having to have their kids being placed into foster homes and how that impact the entire family, and how they're looking to make some changes there. So I was interested in understanding Fortune Society, your perspective, whether or not there is any collaboration in terms of the foster board. So those were my two questions.
Those are great questions. This is Ms. Thomas. Okay. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yes,
I
it's
can see,
Andrea.
I can see you. Thank you for that question. So let me, you know,
No worries.
incarceration severs family bonds. We know that, right? Seeking safety, justice involved individuals often immediately seek to reconnect with their families upon release. Unfortunately, incarceration can separate individuals from their loved ones for long periods of times, and many of the prisons in New York State are very far away from New York City, which just causes an undue hardship, right, for visitation, and oftentimes people get like disconnected from their families. This is going to what you spoke about, Ms. Thomas. This causes children to grow up without the emotional support of their mothers or their fathers. So I can't answer directly if there is a linkage between Fortune Society and Foster. Well, you mentioned the Foster Agency, but I can definitely find out. I can tell you a little bit about our family services program and what we offer. So we have family services. We have a family services unit right in Long Island City at the 2976 location. And We offer programs, we offer domestic violence, we offer seeking safety, we offer 24/7 dads. I believe it's 4 or 5 different groups and programs that we offer that help returning citizens reconnect with their families. Sometimes folks do not know how to reconnect, right? Or they have a lot of challenges with the family because either the family doesn't know them, doesn't trust them. So many challenges that you and I wouldn't even imagine. So the family services allows for like a soft reintroduction to the family unit. Sometimes, men in particular, they come home and they feel like automatically that they have to be the breadwinner right then and there, that they have to provide for their family. It becomes almost like a natural instinct. And sometimes the family unit, the family services unit will really tell them, listen, they've been doing okay without you for the past 5 years. Let's get you together. Let's go through some of these important curriculums that will really get you to get into a different, have a different outlook on things. Sometimes they have challenges just reconnecting with their children. Their children might tell them that they don't want to be involved in their life. But we do have domestic violence classes. We do have the 24/7 dads, which is a great curriculum. But as far as any linkages to foster, I'm not sure. I can find out, and I could put it in an email, and I'm sure that Lauren will make sure everybody gets it. But that's a really great question.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess one question, I guess in terms of the population that you serve, the percentage male versus female, what does that look like?
So I'm
curious.
gonna give you like a round number, right? I mean,
Sure.
we have different, we have communications and development that will come in and give you the exact number, but I would say like 80-20. I would say like 80-20. Just as a general number, it might be plus or minus a little bit from there. So most of our population are male. And most of the, most of the folks that are returning home from prison are males.
Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Could you tell us a little bit more about the 24/7 dads curriculum? Like, what's that about?
Right. So the 24/7 dads curriculum, what it does is that it allows, obviously 24/7 dads. So we're talking about a male group. It allows men to discuss some of the challenges that they're having transitioning back into the community, specifically in relationship with their families. Men that come home that are dads, that are parents, they have the same exact feelings that you and I have, right, for their children. They want the best for their children. They want to be a good role model. They want everything that you and I want, but sometimes they don't know where to start. And then they have a unique situation because they might be coming home to a 10-year-old who hasn't seen their dad since they were 3. So the 24/7 dads, oftentimes the answer is found in the room. So you start a dialogue, there's a narrative, you start a dialogue about it, somebody will come up, and oftentimes in the room you can find the answer to how to approach certain issues that you may be having. They also speak a lot about, the rights of the father, right? Like, know your rights. They go into things like if you're in arrears with child payments, right? If there's a case against you where you may owe some money, like a parenting support group, learning circle. Yes, Amparo. Yes. See, we know this group right here knows the answers. So right. So also some men come home and they might not be able to get their driver's license because they owe $6,000 in arrears. So the 24/7 dads, in connection with some of the other staff at the family services unit, will walk you through how to resolve that. How is it that you get this resolved? Because imagine if you come home and you're in arrears because you were incarcerated, and then it stops you from doing certain things. So if, having a driver's license is a pathway to employment. It'll help. So yeah, 24/7 speaks to that and what Amparo put in the chat. It's a support group.
Thank you for that.
Mhm.
So I had another question,
Go
Lauren, if
for
you
it.
don't
Go for
mind.
it. No, no, no.
Uh, so I guess I think in communities, I mean, I'm sure you there is the NIMBY kind of how do you help like educate communities so that, you know, especially when you talk about transitional housing, immediately when communities hear that one is being placed in a neighborhood, people immediately start visiting community boards and so forth, trying to block it. So how do you educate communities to really embrace your organization? Because again, I think, let's face it, it's a challenge that I'm sure that you guys have to overcome so many times.
Right.
So can you talk a little bit about that?
I could speak a little bit about that. And thank you for that question because it's really a great question. So as you ask the question, I'm thinking about some of the challenges that our CEO, our deputy CEO, and our vice president recently had, I think in the last year. We're in partnership with Jacoby Hospital up in I'm not sure the name of the community, but it's up in the Jacoby Hospital area of the Bronx. And we are trying to partner with them to open up like a medical unit housing opportunity for folks that are coming home with chronic illnesses, right? They may have one or two chronic illnesses, and due to that medical condition, medical challenge, and maybe their age, we're trying to centralize a space up there where they can get the services that they need, specifically the medical services. And there was such an uproar in that community about having this population of folks in their community. It went from people concerned about their safety, people concerned about the value of their property, and all those things that you can imagine that people have, and we work with the community and we understand that people do have legitimate concerns and those concerns have to be heard. What did happen in that particular instance was that people really showed their the ugly side, cursing and being disrespectful and just really not taking the high road in sharing their voice, and their concerns. There's a pathway for that, right? You can go to your community board, you can go to your assembly people and so on. It's a challenge, but I think that Fortune Society is willing to sit down with the community, willing to sit down and speak and listen to what the community concerns are and have an open dialogue and an open narrative about, what the goals are and what we're trying to accomplish. It's not easy. Certain places are open to it, certain places are not. But we definitely take into account and value, the opinions of the community because the community, in all actuality, are our partners. That's one particular incident. I know that we're opening up, and I'm just going to circle back to something. We are also opening up a housing opportunity for folks that are returning in East Harlem on 123rd Street between Park and Lexington. And I remember actually going out on a couple of years ago during COVID to meet with the Assemblywoman, Diana Ayala, to speak about, the goals of the building and what we plan on doing in the services. And she had great concerns about that. And she had, and she spoke to us and, our response was, what can we do in your community? How can we assist? What can Fortune do in your community to help the folks of East Harlem? So I hope that answered it somewhat, Ms. Thomas. I know that I'm not an expert on all the different, there are a lot of moving parts at Fortune. But what I speak to you is stuff that I know firsthand.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, did Dr. Ross, did you have any questions? Okay, it's all right.
I do want
I
to
think-
mention, I'm
Okay, go
sorry,
ahead,
Laura.
Felix.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Felix.
I do want to mention that just recently we had a change in leadership at Fortune Society. I think it's important that the community board knows this. So as of January 1st, our new CEO is Stanley Richards. Stanley has been with Fortune 30 plus years, and he took over the reins this past January. Our former CEO was Joanne Page, who ran Fortune and took Fortune to a lot of places over her 30 plus years as a CEO. There's been some change on the executive level as well. We have a deputy CEO by the name of Robert DeLeon. So there's just a quick update. There is a rich history to Fortune of its beginnings. Our founder, David Rothenberg, who founded Fortune Society in 1967. He's still around. God bless him. I think he's 93 years old. He volunteers with Fortune Society. I mean, on any given day, you can run into him in Long Island City, and he's walking around and he's speaking to people. Yeah, just a lot of stuff, a lot of moving parts at Fortune, but all good. Hello.
Yeah, I finally figured out how to unmute myself. I'm sorry, my granddaughter helped me actually.
I just figured it out myself not too long ago.
I don't. I'm on the phone anyway. I have to tell you, it's funny that you say that Rothenberg got it started in '67. That was just about when I was finishing college and in grad school in New York City, and I always was very admiring of the Fortune Society. But as a resident of Community Board 2, I'm just wondering, are there any specific things that we could do to help that you would like to see? I mean, NIMBYism, if we can do anything to combat that, of course, I think we're all on board, but
So
maybe you have a comment.
So thank you for that. I would start by mentioning that we have 3 task force that we oversee. We have the Bronx County Reentry Task Force, the New York County, and we also have the Queens County Reentry Task Force. So the Queens County Reentry Task Force, which will speak more to this community, I think that you guys should join our bi-monthly meetings. I'll have somebody from CB2 present at our bi-monthly meetings so that you can get kind of like a first look at some of the work that we do through our County Reentry Task Force. We partner with the Queens District Attorney's Office and Queens Parole to work with folks that are coming home to help obviously connect them to the resources and mandates that they need. And you can kind of get like a firsthand look at some of the challenges that returning citizens have and what we're doing to try to help them transition back into the community successfully. So I would love to be able to invite anyone on the community board to those meetings. That's one way. Another way, I mean, I'll get straight to it. Is help support us in some of the endeavors that we may be having. Of course, if you agree with them, if you can lend your voice and your support, be open to our newsletters. We have a lot of information. We have units at Fortune that, share information. We're on every platform. Come to our gala. I mean, I'm just thinking of different things. But at the very end, I think to answer your question, it would be like, if you need more information about Fortune, get the information. And if you guys could support us, of course, we would always, we're always willing to sit down with Community Board 2 and find out what's best for the community.
I think I'm wondering, Chair Springer, if this might be, we could get some of those links and put them in our newsletter. We're always looking for information. That would be the best way to get this out to our board and the community.
Absolutely. I could share information with Lauren and I'm sure she'll share it with the CB team, CB2.
Yeah, where you should send it is actually to the Queens Community Board office.
Okay.
By the way, Amparo, could you do me a favor and just drop that in the chat?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
But I
Scrambling
think
around for things. Go ahead.
It makes it news because you came to our meeting this month, and so it would represent a good reason to put this information in now.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. Yeah, anything. You can include me on your emails, but it should just definitely the community board office should be linked into whatever you
Yes.
send, Felix. And then I'm just going back to the bi-monthly meetings. When are they exactly?
I'm going to tell you right now. Give me one
Okay.
sec. Let me just share this, get this information.
Sure.
cbnyc.gov.
Yeah.
So they're bi-monthly meetings, so they're every other month.
Mhm.
We just had the one in April, so the next one is in June. So if you could send me a list of anyone in CB2, yourself included, Lauren, just send me a list with the emails, and we'll have an invite sent out to you. And
Okay.
it's in a Zoom meeting, and it's usually from I'm going to say for the Queens one is from 10 to 12. You obviously you don't have to be on the Zoom for that long, but it's from 10 to 12.
Mhm.
And again, the coordinator for the Queens County Reentry Task Force is Harmony McDonough, and I will make sure that she sends out that that she'll include you guys on our list serve.
Okay.
So is that QN02? Did I
It's
get
Q. Yeah, QN02.
that? QN02. Got it.
Mhm.
At cb.nyc.gov.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would love to
Yeah.
have you guys
Yeah.
join the
Yeah.
Queens County Reentry Task Force.
Yeah.
What day
And-
of the week is that?
Give me 1 second, I'll tell you right.
Sure.
1 sec, let me see. Calendar. I'll tell you right now. Okay, the Bronx is on on Tuesdays. It's on Wednesday. It's on a Wednesday. But I'll get you guys the exact date for next month. And then once you're on the list, like you'll always get an invite every
Okay.
other month.
Okay. And is it
Thank
usually
you
like,
so much.
I'm sorry, is it usually like a dedicated Wednesday, like the third Wednesday or the second
Correct.
Wednesday? Is that, it's like that?
Correct.
Okay.
That's how it is. I believe it's the
Okay.
third Wednesday of the month.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody have any other questions to ask Felix? Or Felix, do you have anything that you'd like to say?
So if nobody has any questions, I do want to say I really thank you guys for giving me the opportunity to speak today. I was a little bit nervous before I got on. I said, what are they going to ask me? But you
We
guys have,
we don't bite. Come on.
no, absolutely no. I can't wait to get back and tell folks how approachable you guys were and how, great questions that you had. Thank you for that.
No. Thank you for coming. This is something that I wanted to do for a long time. I wanted the Fortune Society to come and speak, so I'm glad you were able to.
Of course.
Okay.
Perfect.
Okay. So Felix, you're welcome to stay till the end, or you can go, but it's just old business, new business. Does anybody have anything they'd like to bring up or?
So I did follow up with that, sending that other person's contact information or the website for Northwell. So yeah, I was wondering if the office could get a hold of anyone or.
Yeah, maybe I'll ask the office to do it if they can, because I'm
Yeah.
not sure what, and I appreciate it. I got it. Thank you for it. Yeah, because I'm not sure what the deal is, if they feel like it's too early, that's too theoretical still. I have no idea, but I would
I
love
mean,
for
the
somebody
press
to come.
releases went
Yeah,
out,
yeah.
so I
Yeah.
think that they could, I don't know, at least address the community.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Let me-
and
Yeah,
So-
let me talk to Debbie about that and see if what ideas can come up, and then say maybe
Yeah.
if it comes from them, it maybe,
I think so too. They might
Yeah.
have more leverage, more power.
Yeah.
It feels like they're more connected, and so we definitely need to lean on their expertise. The office really, yeah.
okay. And Felix, thank you so
Thank you,
much.
guys. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. Yeah, no, because I'm with you and Amparo on that. So I think I'll reach out to Debbie about that and see if we can get
Thank
somebody
you.
here for maybe June. That would be great. Okay. Anything else that anybody want to bring up? Okay, anyone want to make a motion? Amparo?
I would love to make a motion to adjourn so that I can drink some hot tea.
Oh,
Okay,
feel
you
better.
feel better, feel better.
Feel better, Empire. I know the deal. I've been like this for about a week and a half myself.
Okay,
No good. Have a good
Okay.
one, guys.
have a good one. And Tony,
Okay.
all the best. Good luck in getting your merit badge.
All right. Bye-bye.
Okay,
Bye now.
all right, bye.